Good afternoon. My name is Susan Beals. I'm the Commissioner of Elections for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We wanted to give a couple updates about how things are going so far today on this election day. First, we wanted to provide a couple reminders. For anybody who is looking for their polling location, you can go to vote.virginia.gov and find a polling lookup device there that you can type your address in. It will tell you what your polling location is. Polls are open until 7 o'clock. If you are in line at 7 o'clock, you will be allowed to vote at that location. Just some updates on some of the issues that we spoke about earlier today. The Wythe County Spiller Elementary School precinct, their power was restored at 11:30. They were operating on generators there for a little bit intermittently, but their power was restored at 11:30. For the poll book issues that were earlier in the day, as we said, they did switch to paper poll books. Some of them ended up going back to their electronic poll books and are in good shape there. And that is what we have right now for updates. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about at this briefing is what we can expect for our election night results reporting. And we are doing that a little bit differently this year. We're adding some more features, some more transparency, particularly as it relates to our absentee votes. We're going to be reporting our absentee votes by precinct, but just wanted to walk you through that with a brief slideshow. So I'm going to give our interpreter an opportunity to move over to the screen. So we've added, if you want to go to the next slide, we have added some new graphics this year. When you click on the results page on our website, and you can see there's 5 tabs across the top there. There's Congress, referendums, results by locality, absentee by precinct, and statistics. When you click on our results by locality and then you choose a locality, you're going to see those 5 categories of types of votes across the top. This is to help give our voters a better understanding of the results reporting progress so that they understand what's been counted and what's still outstanding, what's still left and hasn't yet been reported. So just briefly, the 5 types of votes that we have there are the early voting. That is somebody who would have voted during the 45 days of early voting. The election day votes, those are folks who have voted in a precinct on election day today. The mailed absentee, those are voters who voted a mailed absentee ballot. And then the two last ones are provisional. Those are voters who voted a provisional ballot that's going to be considered and then voted on at the electoral board meeting following the canvass. And then the post-election ballots. Those are ballots that were postmarked election day, but were not necessarily received up until the Friday after election day. This year that happens to be the Monday after election day because Friday is Veterans Day and it's a national holiday. If you want to go to the next slide. So just to give you an idea of what this would look like, you have those 5 across the top. At 7 o'clock, the first 3 are going to switch to in progress, if you look at the legend there. And then you'll be able to track them and see when they are reported in each locality. Also, if you click on, if you can go back one more. If you click on the red arrow by results by precinct on our absentee by precinct page, that is the way that you're going to be able to find absentee ballots and the precincts that they came from. That is going to give you a clearer picture of those folks who are choosing to vote absentee, which is some delineation we haven't had up until now. So it's going to provide some more information about that. If you want to go to the next slide. So this is an example of what it might look like if you had your early votes were counted, your election day votes have been counted, but the other 3 categories had not yet been counted and had not been reported as the results. So hopefully this will help folks understand where we are in the progress of reporting results tonight, so that if you look at a page and you see there's only 1 precinct outstanding or only 2 precincts outstanding, this is going to give you a clearer picture that maybe those are all those mailed absentee ballots that haven't been reported yet. So I shouldn't necessarily look at this and think that the outcome that I see is the end of the story for this race for tonight. One more slide I want to show you. This is what your mobile results are going to look like on your phone. Again, you're going to have those 5 categories, and you're going to be able to see the results progress if you're bringing that website up on your phone this evening. With that, I am happy to go ahead and answer any questions that folks might have. Yes, ma'am.
So when you look at this, are you able to see how many mailed absentee ballots were sent out? You know, is
It is not going to list the number sent out. It's just going to give you a result, an overall look at the progress of the results reporting.
It just won't be possible to see like, oh, wow, we have this overwhelming number of votes that still need to be coming in. We just don't know.
Well, I mean, they know, registrars know certainly
Yeah.
how many they have mailed out, but the number that get mailed out and the number that get marked and mailed back is not always the same, and it's not ever going to be the same, right? Not everybody's going to mail back their absentee ballot.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
First up on the phone, we have Matthew Demline with News Radio WRVA. Matthew, if you could hit *6 for your question.
Yeah, just to follow up on the poll book issue, you said earlier that it was some precincts in Chesterfield and the city of Richmond. Have all the precincts gone back to electronic or some still on paper?
I believe there are some that just decided to stay on paper today.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I got.
Thanks, Matt.
Next up, we have Denise Lavoie with the Associated Press. Denise, do you have a question? *6 to unmute yourself.
Hi there. Yes, I just wanted to check again about any reports that you may have received on voter harassment or intimidation or any other unusual reports about problems at the polls between observers and monitors, anything like that at all.
We don't have any specific reports that we've received.
Okay. Do you know of any reports that you may have not received officially but that you've heard about?
I can't speak to reports that I don't know about.
Hey, just out of curiosity, as of 4 o'clock, do you have a number for voter turnout in the state as of right now?
We do not.
Next up, we have Ned Oliver with Axios Richmond. Ned, if you could unmute yourself with *6 to ask your question.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Graham Muma with Virginia Mercury. If you could *6 to ask your question.
Yeah, do you all have any sense of how many people are taking advantage of same-day registration, whether that's a specific number or just a general guesstimate of whether people are or aren't taking advantage of that?
We don't right now.
Is the state going to track that on a statewide basis?
They are, but as we said, those statewide or those folks who vote same-day voter registration are voting a provisional ballot. So all of those ballots are going to go back to the registrar's office, where they will be considered and then voted on by the electoral board at the provisional ballot meetings. So you're not going to know the results of that probably until closer to Monday of next week.
Hey, I'm back here, sorry, sitting down. Could you just speak briefly to the importance of reporting results this way, the increased transparency and information, what you hope the public or the news media gets out of it?
So we're excited this year that we're going to be able to offer information about results, absentee results by precinct. It's going to provide a deeper look into where absentee votes are coming from and who those voters are that are choosing to vote absentee and early. In the past, we've reported in two big categories of early votes and absentee votes. This is going to tie those votes back to the precincts, so you'll be able to see how many people in each precinct are deciding to vote early or deciding to vote by mail.
Back on the phone, Dwayne Yancey with Cardinal. If you could *6 if you have a question to ask. All right, Ann Sparaco with WVEC 13 News Now. Do you have a question? *6 to unmute yourself.
Yes, I do actually. So this is a little more specific. We've received a report of someone who tried voting in person today, but he was told his vote already counted, but he said he neither voted early voting or in through the mail-in ballot. Have you heard of this issue? And if so, have you received enough number of calls regarding this specific issue today?
So if anybody finds themselves in that situation, they can vote a provisional ballot, and that is a way for them to have their vote potentially counted by the electoral board when they meet and consider that ballot. And we have not received.
I understand that. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, have you received a large number of calls, and do you know what the cause behind this might be?
So we have not received a large number of calls, and I can't speak to what the cause might be.
Okay.
We had a similar call from a viewer in Chesterfield, kind of the same situation, what's going on in Hampton Roads. Have you heard about this happening in Chesterfield County at all? With someone going in and it says they've already voted, but they haven't actually voted yet?
Right. We have not received an overwhelming number of calls about that particular issue.
Hey, this is Rick. This is Rick with NBC4. I think you skipped over me.
Yeah, I don't think I had your correct number.
That's
listed.
okay. No worries. Quick question. How can Virginia voters check to see if their provisional was ultimately accepted? We're doing an explainer on provisionals tonight.
So if the electoral board decides to not count your provisional ballot, they are required to send you a mailing to notify you of that. So, and there's also another way, if you want to look at your voter credit following the election, you can look up your record on our website and you can see if you got voter credit for that election, and it'll tell you if your vote was counted.
Would that be immediate tonight?
It is not. It
If
is
you
not
look up your-
immediate. You would probably need to give it anywhere from 7 to 30 days.
7 to 30 days. All right, thank you.
Do we have anyone from the Washington Post on the call?
Yeah, this is me. I was just going to chime in with a question as well. I was just wondering if the state has issued any guidance to the registrars on the order in which ballots be counted, namely as it relates to the absentee and early votes, to avoid any of those, confusion from 2020. Is there any guidance that went out? And also, do you guys have any notes of caution about when people can expect results, if there's going to be any delay in the counting of mail-in or absentee votes?
Sure. So the department issued guidance on Friday to registrars. We asked them to immediately initiate reporting results for early votes at 7 p.m. today. Those are machines that they have had sitting in their offices since Saturday when the end of early voting came to a close. And so we've asked them to go ahead and hit the button at 7 o'clock to start that process. That is not an immediate process. I know from my experience in Chesterfield last year when we hit the button on the machine had to think for an hour before it started printing. And then sometimes the tape can take up to an hour to print. So it is not an immediate quick process. It takes a minute, but we've asked them to go ahead and get that process started at 7. We've also asked them to start that for mailed absentee ballots, for those machines to go ahead and hit the button at 7. If they have ballots left to process, we've asked them to work until 8 o'clock and then hit the button at that point for those. For our folks who are in the precincts with the election day votes, they're going to do those, shut down their polls as they normally would on election day. They're going to make sure everybody who's in line has voted, and then they will initiate closing the polls and print those tapes in their precinct, and then they will fill out a statement of results and either call that in or drive that back to the registrar's office for it to be reported. So it's hard to say which one of those would come out first in terms of being reported first. I think it just depends on the locality. It depends on the size of the locality. There's not necessarily a distinct order that those would come in.
Will I be able to chime? Am I able to chime in?
Do we have anyone from the Times Dispatch or 88.5 on the call to ask a question?
All right, great. Thanks. We will see you at our next briefing at 9 o'clock.